soje chona lai chanju bade dani gyabsu jin dagi jinsu jibe tsonam jin dola benje sanje dubare shoye sanje jina soje chona lai chanju bade dani gyabsu jin dagi jinsu jibe tsonam jin dola benje sanje dubare shoye sanje jina soje chona chanju bade dani gyabsu jin dagi jinsu jibe tsonam jin dola benje sanje dubare shoye. 아무튼 싫어한디.你是多近是吧？他等到学堂你去的吧，你去的可是点过来，他好像是3这个，那是3，啊，然后就多就是来呢，这种做的，所以让你给3的蛮多呢，俺学了个这都考来来的，等会儿啊，就是多多的，他的那让你学堂都嘛推呢，让你学堂的都了别晓得是吧？都我那的让你学堂的嘞。아주 기술로는 주주주주라 파이니에다 파이니에다는 이네 도우드 쪼데 소소가 나중에 다다데스라 나중에 다디 ngo마시니 먼저 슐로는 주주 되어라 제산데 인디가라 안에 슐로 도우 투시 페어인주스라 데제 제산다 나기 도우디 마투와이나 아니 슐로 그랑게 도우디 바 찍갈라 메바소 투와이나야 tandoe madugres ra kana ke tanda sosoge dati matu madni shure do di batu ga do ne mebaso ina ya kana chi mebaso ni le ni mebaso shinga mambu ti gyablo ya mambu le ora odi le sra pheor jures te shir ta jinse dinde insa ani khari chola na shanda hije rani ge shamba da hije ra digi ani mabung di le mal le peshane shamba da hije do ma la peshane di mabung di khari chola rani ge shamba da hije do mabung le peshane rai dati ma chongres ra
간제송에 용 직선난다.
아이 다트나 다우디 칼라나 랑이 셈드 다우체. 아. 다디 랑이 다디 마투야디 카르고나 샴바데 히제. 디게 랑이 다투 투라. 디나셰기 페나 슐루 다우지 샤와이나 슐루 다디 투올라 트다 멘다데 디고로와. 라 디나셰기 나라즈 샴데 히제디 나라즈 라니기 나루 다투야기 라차도 차고. 라. 제가 근데 인사 아니 마봉 기를 다르니기 상대 hin지디 아니 마이즈 샤니라 마다다 천자데 니산디 오라다다 디 마를 베샤도와 디기 천자디기 아니 라기 라지기 센디 상대 hin지가 라지기 센티바 나셰기 마봉 디기 슐루가 다티고 요라스 디 나셰레스 제가 슐루가 다티는 마 마뉴르 도야만 마르마 도고레 아니 딘 다가 나셰기 소소 라지 다티와이나 파쇼 추주 사마이 다디 메바차도라 응데
So now we're on the 20th stanza of the text, and now we talk about like the negative affliction of anger, the negative affliction of anger, and how we point our anger towards like this supposed like enemies that we have in our life, but like if you are not able to recognize that the true enemy is indeed our own anger, then like even if we are able to defeat like so many other like perceived enemies, these outer enemies, even if you are able to defeat them defeat them, then like it's kind of pointless, because these outer enemies, they are endless. They will keep like you'll keep gaining, or you will run into like more enemies if you are not able to conquer your own anger first. And then the main practice that's mentioned in the 20th stanza is the practice of subduing your own mind. And then how do we subdue our own mind? We have to learn to subdue our own mind, or we have to learn to subdue the afflictions that arise in our mind with the forces of kindness and compassion. By practicing like these ideals of kindness and compassion, then we'll be able to subdue the negative afflictions such as anger, which is the true enemy that arises in our minds.
The deal patient and the contagious Howland Ra. Nanzo the Chipajan Tango the 200 did Ra, and Yamdushin. The Michileo in Shiro, the Michilene, and also the Signapotilan Ra. Chunzo Pango, Chitan to Dujan and Lera, Miji and the Lemni Doina, not Summer Lada, and then the Hadu me Josumsta, Mitchosum, the Children, Mitchosum, the summer coverlet, Chipajan, Canada, Bedujares, Canada Pango, Chabare, Carlawen, Miji and the Lani, and it with the Doshachina. Tangazuki, Kashila Pesin, the Pepogora. When there was another din the village and another church, dearest, right? Mentioned it. Mother and then Mazula and then Apu Kajil and Kajilum Shuchum Pelan, right? Kajil Sharan camera, Koranjis, Matana, Gimare, some Yametan share, right? Kashina Hando is not dead. The hope the Makarla Gales. She thought Pagila, the Mazuki control lama like Chebado, right? Apunto Shuchumbolani de la. Tako be kurang tan ta yamala sem the shiva the yora tako pa kudu shu chamulani de kangi ma thesar khala na ko mazola de je kharjen line ko kharjen lagale ni jinse mabaj ta ra mazola maga khare ni ji mabaj sana ko be de sem ba chwa chu shu chambo yi de pe kangi mabaj thesar ta chi de shiraji ya khaji ji de khamar kuran de ji kuran thanda me jore do sama shiradi kangi umra khaji da de ha ro sana de gemu shede 제가 딜랑 안쪽에 파이를 다치 버지잖아요. 딜랑 안쪽에 소소기 샘기 소다. 봐. 이게 배천으로 시작이더라. 딜랑도 샘기 다 간데스기도. 봐. 가실라 다차고 가시 게무시에 차고 가실라 초다년으로 차고. 제가 근데 이디가 실로가 내다 집어지잖아요. 나로 소화담 들이다.
Now maybe we can try to maybe like let's give this example. We are here, a gathering of 13 people, and we are trying to engage in the study of this text in this like setting. Then out of nowhere someone comes and then like barges in and out of nowhere and accuses us and like curses all of us and saying like these people are thieves or some wild thing he says, and then he leaves. Then like let's imagine like what kind of reactions would like this gathering of 13 people have. So there's the possibility that like there is this reaction in some of the people in the gathering to feel like great anger at this person who came out of nowhere saying these wild things about us, and then he or she is consumed by this anger, and like throughout the session he's thinking about like who is this person, why, like wherein, like what right does he have to accuse us in such a manner and to like disturb our like these like peaceful environment that we have here. And then like some of the people in this gathering might have the reaction to be like shocked initially, but then to be able to laugh it off in a few minutes. And then like some people might not be disturbed at all, might not be consumed by anger at all, might be able to stay calm and then look at the person like, okay, maybe he might be going through something at the moment, and try to understand the other person and stay calm themselves. So now if we look at like the possibilities, the real possibilities of this kind of reaction to the same among a group, then we know like even though the outer object of like anger or the outer source of anger is the same thing, the way we respond internally to this like outer like stimuli or this outer source of anger plays a big difference. Plays a big difference in how we experience or how we are able to face this situation.
계속 키워줄 엔드로 주는 아주 가슴자라. 문이 먼저 디나 유버지 오면 소소나스다고. 미주 합도 아주 같이 주도 하루에 삼그라 같이 먼저 컨트롤 내 가르치는 사람이 마음실이다. 답변은 아주 엔드실래나 미스스스스게 결혼이 팔아 그 동네로 가르치서랬으라. 디지털라. 디 가서 디 내가 전부다. 라주 뛰고르래 하고 말아. 그도 가르치고 뛰다는 데로. 지금 아주 지 잘라로 있는 버튼 장마서에 지 잘라마 좀 봐자 마돈 메버스 시비서라. 당도 라주 뛰래 대신 받 간데 뛰고르. 디디가 다스 결혼하기 산으로 가르쳐서 소소좀 가르치려더라.
So now like as I always stress like it's very important to try to relate like this practice to how like to us to us. Now, like in the 20th stanza, it says that the practice of a bodhisattva is to subdue the mind. And now, like when you say subdue the mind, you need to try to relate this to yourself. So now I ask you this question, like this, I posed this imaginary situation to you. Then, like if you try to imagine, like what would be your reaction to this imaginary situation, and try to see like how your mind approaches this particular situation. So please try to like relate this. And please be honest, like what will be your reaction.
Most likely have a discussion inside of me, like there would be one side of me, one voice that wants to be thinking bad and be like, oh, why is he disturbing this peaceful group now? And there would be another voice saying, just let it go now, it's fine. And they would have a debate, and it would cause a lot of, uneasiness inside of me.
타직도 룽라 타직도 닝지라든데 삼말레사마레스 가자는 셈나나다 디베트도요. 그런서 니 파즈 저바도 테드서레스.
다나가도 미실레 레치네라.
레치나 가자는 찌글라나 코든rel레는 아주데 코심부시 디체는 롭션 체디기다 가전 느갸발리기어레스. 룽직사기레스. 양 셈나나 양 요원에 신다지기 만내메 답시로 체네라. 안닝제 딱 가야 말에다 야메 땅로 딘데 삼로 거기스. 딘데 Anyone else?
Me? Yeah. I think I'm the second group. Like I will laugh.
I know Gemusher service.
And you?
Oh, I will get angry. I will tell them to shut up.
I know Lumlan service.
And if I don't, I will feel bad. I will feel like.
Ala, because in middle kazum ni lung madena, ngara nongol lung disade, ngara lung lang service.
Yeah, we also have a debate in my head, I think. We'll try to focus on what I want to cultivate.
So the kare semnangla di khale da nyamnen rojik chingin de de ra. Odela manga thonang tesares. Ine semnangla dagin ro moila sa 지 가르쳐오래 네 용생디다 셈나는 축 대사레스.
Oh, I would love.
Usually when I get the situation, like it doesn't happen a lot, but if sometimes something like that happens, if it touches my ego in a sensitive way, that happens sometimes, and then I can try to defend myself for a minute, and then I'm like, okay, yeah, but what does this person have to deal with me? Like, I shouldn't care. I tell myself that, and then but it takes time usually.
남상 다 수수 다진 로지라 이고라이라 이고라 다 수수기 디스 넘버도 sorna 아니 nga lamsan lunglang기도스 미디냠도 추바게랑 삼로 거기도스 아니 lamsan로 타지 lamsan instantly라 lamsan 코라니 제토기면도스 까마카시 뒤주로지 거나 니 신의 삼로 거기도 미디다 초카리어래라 신의 삼로 거기도스.
Yeah, I was wondering about the Bodhisattva. Do they just they've gotten so far past their natural human instinct to analyze a threat, like, just to kind of analyze the situation. Like if I have time when I'm going into a situation and I know it may be confrontational, I can like meditate and say, okay, go in with a curious and spacious mind, be compassionate, I can prepare myself. But if someone just comes in and you're not expecting it, I think my natural human response is to kind of, is this a threat? How, still respond with compassion and kindness, but I think I'm still at that natural human response of, analyzing the situation first without any response, and so is the Bodhisattva get past that?
That Tiwaye Chigyesara, a question with that, right? So the Mohi Lanayara, Chanju Simbadujo, but Munegoro Sangesawa the Chibaras. Dini konsola di tanda dendegi da nedang roji chenasra konsola ni ngazuro dende samotang goe giji ta khaleira 겐로 디오 마로스 랑싱기 니 디 닝지다 랑싱기 데 레기로스 이네 당한주 미로스 미 인도 잠바니 당보 소소라 데 내당직 통나 닝카라는 직 소르기로 당보 소소라 닝가 가르도래 삼 당보디 소와 디르다 디 닝카디 니 소와 가도 있는 당보 다가랑 그래도스 타직도 람상고라 닝지다 참발해야 되는데 또 곰토에 각버레스 아니 닝카라야 들라다 줌젠 로지 타네라 닝가 가제체도 디 삼노지 타네니 신이 닝지라야 돼 곰토다스 아니 다 티와디 카인스나 전주 선바도 저이나 덴데 줌젠 라타고 마라 랑싱기 덴데 차기요레 랑싱기 닝지 질레기요레 가자나나 미가시기 가도 있네 더 홉드메 중기로 룽랑에도 홉드메 중기로 삼록이다 리바기 덴데 제 고급 디오 마라 어디게 니 전주 선바도 저기 닝지 계당지요라 덴데 홉드메라니 칸데스 닝지 기요레스
전주sem도 합도 니지 가르치 그러자
말했다 먼저 있는 홉드메 룽랑나 닝지릭라 닝지다 데 쳔바 수익 말아 리바도지 땅나 신의 닝지라야 되라 파주 줘야도 또 전주sem바도 저 있는 홉드메 데
아니 전주sem도 가디는 코심제 신발이들라 자와도 이제 그 요여버라 담고 전주sem발에 간대제 딘데기 요영이지라 딘데기 로데 댕이지라 전주sem발에 샤고라 지자 코데 담보는 샤주고 티카사 샴바다 히지도 라지로 요와 인자 아니 그런식이 곰대지라 라 딘데 고드가 딘데 쟁이도 태서 남사 아딘데 용어스그래 용거를 간단도나 하고 고버를 차려라 제가 단도 콘조에 배지 심쟁이 배기 누냐와는 지인들가 그 니지도 코로나식이 담보는 예버를 딘데 니지도 샴바 댕게들 신이 샹주 sembalagora 로 딘데 댕게들
So yes, the way the bodhisattvas the way the bodhisattvas approaches this kind of situation is totally different to way a normal like human being would approach it, because as we said, like the level of a bodhisattva is to have this constant compassion and constant kindness as a reaction to all situations. And so as we almost discussed yesterday, I think it was you who said like through practice they are able to internalize these qualities, wherein like they do not have to, even if the situation is one of like a suddenness, due to their practice, due to like their like meditation practices and their like cultivation of these ideals in themselves, to such a point like they've internalized these qualities, and this doesn't require for them intellectual analysis of the situation, or this is not a response to some of these like primal fear or like a response of these like negative afflictions. It's just almost like a natural reaction to these situations. So this is the difference between a bodhisattva and a human being. You?
I think it really depends on the situation. Like, I guess if it's like someone random, then I don't get angry. But if it's like someone that is more important and close to me, then I will not get into a fight. I don't get into fights, but I might feel anger inside me and then try to like think about how to resolve it.
그랑이라는 미 모심 마신교 수강다 소소기 모체 마신교지기 델레네라 지카다 덴드로 체나 룽시라 사사 마레스 이나다 모랑 모신교다 덴드로 치나 아니 셈나올로 룽 원에 사사레스 아니 제네 탑시 체레스 다디 칸데스 뇨그자디 메아서야 덴데 something is
For me, the question, or what has helped me most, was to look to see what is behind the anger, and then try to be compassionate with that feeling. It doesn't really matter if it's mine or the other person. Just to be compassionate with that. It's the goal.
그랑이라나 니 딱 미신다 디기 룽 때라 소소의 룽 사기라 룽 디기 갸블 줌젠 카레도레 딜라 제바치에 디 당시 계치 못한 거 두스 아니 기시 룽 디기 갸블 안 제바치는 룽 나이사 코이사 케바시라 마치 아니 닝지라야 도다 나 참발라야 되는 고메 답시 치사레스
I think not so much anger, I would feel more like confusion. Like if something unexpected, like someone saying, oh, you're a thief or something, then I think, oh, maybe I did accidentally pick up someone else's phone instead of mine. Maybe they lost their passport or some money or something, and now they're really stressed, they can't think straight. I think laughing at them would make it worse, and actually then one has to peacefully say, okay, what have you lost? And then practically resolve, like pretend you're them going through their problems, and then how would you want the person that you end up in your frantic episode accusing behave back to you? And then that seems to be the best way.
그런데 this 톰돔 자사레스 딘데 차나야라 이나의 게모션나니 디 네단디 야르게 도 통금민두스 가전나 가인의 용색으로스 미디기 파스포트라 코페트 셈나 셈접 첨부게 되어시레 디게 제산 코용 안절로 구마르올란 라인 베이시레 제산 줌젠 삼로 땅네라 퍼주 미디기 네단 가르레도 콜라직 삼셰로 지체 당고 엔 디네 신네 칸디스 쳐보면 삼로 땅게스 yes
as a human being a reaction. If someone is coming in bringing love, I feel it. If someone is making a joke, I'm laughing. If the intention is there to harm, my first reaction is I'm not getting angry. I really feel also the need to help. I see the struggle of the other, and my first intention will be to help. But I can be hurt. Yes, if the intention is to harm, I'm getting hurt. Even though I will feel for the person, it's moving me. Things are doing something to me. Yes.
또 미퍼주기 술은 뇌기 삼로 단계 연나이스라 아니 모랑기 샘 나오러도 버저들라 원내기 로봇에 삼로지 코르사레스야 가지는 거든데 내가 두자든지 가전 시기에 거의 네 줌점이겨 내가 든데 가전 시기에 얘네 든데 파 로봇에 삼로 땅데 좀 방향 인카로제 도아스 버저디 로봇 롱기 유일은 수수 닝제 콜라 로봇 고르는 삼나바니 수수 샘딩 삼로 찍당나야 수수를 인가 도에민데 따야디 개침 버려 도아스
배버리시라 견삼을 삼수수수 정보라자 가르치 제등에 다 일라서 나도들 찍기빠지장시 나라도 사모님들라래 가시게 게무셔야 되는 거 가시 삼노땅 거야 가시 대송서에도라 가시네 갈라스다 너무리다 그래서 제등 간도 미기 샘래 당서 밴담을 열어 전직 딜레파 수수 남도 당하는 남도로 상황이 남도로 지라 딜레 가시기 배 아니제 가시 게무셔 가시 똑바서 가시 콜라 아니 가르치는 만데 산디가 삼다 시당 간도 삼노래 돼 되네도 와 근데 이제 단단 간도 딜레 산자 라주 뚜구레 레디가라 예춘을 좋아 가르친 딜 하나지 미스니 디 삼노 담도 요 치된 거라 얘기 아니 전환도 산도 딜레는 예ten도 거라 나라기 디 유지도 마시 아니 결혼 선수시는 아니 담으라시는 아주 하고다 아니 미 가시 된다 사람 가시 되는 사람들아 지상 아주 단단 하나도 될 배춘주지 미 조som 주시지 마시면 잠비가라 미 정말다 상으로 열어 봐 가시 배상도 단다 야보 가시 두다 된대기 세다면 열어 근데 인자 제상 안쪽다 라지도 뚜월라 간데 쳐올라 아니 동북 수수 생기 쳐지라 맞아 라지디라 수수부 쳐다 슈침보도는 뺀다나 가서 된대지 미치려 와이나 당가야 나도 또는 남서 동으로 치나 라 지금 농시고 사나 아니 빼 디르가라 인가 사오차라 아 개말데 샤샤 그 진제로 이제 그 가르만데 이제 지는 거랑 잘라라 인게 지는 거랑 선바탕다 얘기 말지 선 흘렀다나 되게 칼로 네버츠 좀 지금다 남상 공을 엔데 그거를 가르치는 라랑 아주 가나서 될 릴레이션이 되는 롱란탄도 콜도르 제바도 슈가도나 되게 뱅이가 서져서 제가 담보 란주디 맞두고더라 란주 생바디 맞대 슬르체 제가 란주 뛰어라 네 진세 가지러 원한다 지도 카게 나야 펠레하우라 란주 뛰려나 라 이니 뛰다는데 간데스다 올라나 배 갈래 가보여라 대신에 간주 이제 로드 마스네 엔데로 차오라
So thank you very much for sharing your honest answers with me. And now the reason I posed this question to you is as we discussed about the practice of subduing the mind, subduing the mind, I gave you like these like different examples of reactions to the imaginary situation, and then like I wanted to hear from you, and then we are somehow able to ratify like indeed there will be different reactions to these same situations from a group of people. And now it's very easy to say like we need to subdue the mind with the help of like kindness and compassion. It's very easy to say this, but then like when you say it, you do not really like you do not really have the if you just say it and if you do not really have an acceptance, like there could be like there could be simgi kandesungre sim dullara
sim tule manganzuma tule stangi ma sim dadlota sim marumba jwa ranju ki sim yema de ma tule de ma tule do shiwa do chachu jwa penanzu datu le ya ra dat e shu chumbu na dat de ba me besen ba kala ba ko nyam chuju do sa chidang dilo kashi simba be nyam chuju do sim dusha le da wonde law tule.
So it's easy to say like we need to subdue the mind, but then I asked you this question like to gain like to ratify like to ratify in your own mind like the difference of reaction that we could have to the situation, and then like I'm very happy to hear like you had like all of you had like your own ideas of how to deal with this situation using reason, trying to like stay calm, but excuse me, I'll just try to clear something up first. 거기 미상만기 담인다 송송라라 아니 또 단단한조 심 듈레 레라보레송라
심 듈 치볼라네 칸 내라보레서 듈는 듈당 칸데라 담부 듈당디 하고라 나즈 미기 상로디 칸데도 하고보다 자 상로 칸데 가시 스스로 넘상나 가시지 담르도 제 제상 담부네 스스로기 셈디 바투이나 라 마투이 다시다나 아데디 캐마디 다스레 진지로다나 그디 인가 소차야라 다 가지는 라인은 알아 근데 너무 때는 가지 문줄라 근데 망보지 진상단 단돌로에 쳇쳇도다 센데마 두두음다 근데 개만이 무시르지 니제라 샤샤나 게임도 이강에 뒤쳐라.
So now the gist of my like explanation is when you say like subdue the mind, it's easy to say like just we need to subdue the mind, but then like what do you mean when you say subdue the mind? Then you need to realize like what are the different reactions that this like mind will have to the situation, and this is why we discuss like each like of the reactions that each person has, and if we are able to like take from each other like these are the different kind of reactions that we could have to the situation, then we know we have an idea of like how the mind actually works, how the mind reacts to this situation, and this is the way we need to try to learn how to subdue the mind, to learn the reaction of the mind, or in this case like when we say mind, we mean like the negative like afflictions in our mind, and how these propels us to react in a certain way. So this is the reason we say not just subdue the mind, but we need to learn first how like the mind reacts to these situations.
단데디 얘기 단데 가서 다즈 미질레나라니 이미지도 라 수선도 담라라 다처럼 오늘 시솔로 디투고라 랑갈도 미지긴데 랑갈로 그걸 비켜러잖아 항상그라 오늘 가시 룸벨랑랑 나랑랑 잘라도 키도 나 가지니 비자자도 다실로로 디만도 미 담으로 내단 담으로 상가제 그래 다 가리늘이라 드디가라다는 아주 셈바디 다부자고라 라 단다데 잉엘딩이 갈라는 페이지 샤와는 아주 내단 집어지장 미지길에 내가 절대 롱나 콘트라는 페스터와 대가서 삼아 집어지잖아요. 당가서 실로를 도우니까 내단 담을 가식처럼 배 만벌시로 저 두자래 지금 동네에 라이그래 가식처럼 미야범도 라이그래 가식처럼 전부도 가르네 다 지금 만벌체로 담을리라 아 가식진 동네에 가식처럼 남주 때다 두자다 지 랑가라지네 비자자로다 상가자로 근데 담을리라 내단 담당 아주 시선을 열라. 드두가라 아니 수수 셈지디에 드두데 따보라. 내가 데라 장을 relations인데 lam ta janga jena ngi mara che janga danda dil dine chili na khande che sar anga sholo la dana dinde ka ngi thena khande che sar namdi chana dal da shu so na khasa kal ro de ora khaji chi ni chana zo mi de da ma la de ni ro chana na thonju che de ni ro chana da ma la de ni de na ye dil khande chi parla ko sengi done che go sar tinga danda la de saben ro sabe 라 티바킨 당도 시소는 저 냠이 제일 티치와 원디 라원 다가는 템퍼 도시에는 치는더라
So now like we talked about this imaginary situation that all of us like faced, and then like this is not to just like this is not just an exercise in imagination. This is to say like here in the class we had an imaginary situation because we need a way or need some like just as a way to think about like how we are going to deal with it in our real life. And so now as we leave this class, all of us will go back into like some form of human society, and then when we go there, like we face like different kind of situations every day. Like imagine you're going in a crowded place and someone just pushes you. What would be your reaction in such a situation? Now small examples like this. So when I try to like present such an imaginary situation to you and ask your reaction to this kind of situation, all we are trying to do here is to plant the seed to try to think about like the way you react to these situations, and maybe this is the seed of transformation that we plant in this classroom with this imaginary situation, and then like when we face like real life transgressions, then we have like the ability to think or the ability to like cultivate like compassion in our reaction.
Yeah. Just tanda chana chana delere nganzo ji shigore semba tugue kola mambuji shire anita tandoya mambuji yorwa. This chama jani ani kya la ngema kangi thidi sing mambuji ladigala namso zoe mathuya ro dang sikki soso be khashela lungla de sede yorwa. Tati pa changma suya de be khichamra. Tangone nga tare shapuni sum tuzu de rimbu mewa ine soso nga ngunde di chem du same chi lenara. Ani khale ani soso lo든 좋았다는 sembal을 시대 흘러로 쳐라. 티차월 때는 수수부 트레이너에 수수가 미치기 제는 부대 대부대야 치리나래 간지 돌아 수수라 편도여라. 아니 수수 드라이 뉴로도래. 아니 sem바치우 아니 미치기 제 고주에로 쳐거라. 봐. 루 장장나 콘도 장장나 미래디 카티 짜잔 지부해지 요라.
So as we heard from like your sharing, your sharings to this like imaginary situation, then we learn like if you apply like the effect like this anger has in our real life, then like anger has the quality of like breeding conditions for confrontations, and then like it has the quality of like breeding resentment in ourselves. So now like with this kind of exercise, we actually afford ourselves the opportunity to think about like these as reactions, these as like the consequence of anger, or the residue of anger that residue of anger, or the imprint that anger leaves in our mental consciousness. So now like we have come here to listen to these teachings for like in this short amount of time, even though we do not have like a long period of time to like to truly like cultivate and generate and engage in meditation, but we still have like intellectually we are able to process this information that we can try to like think about an antidote to anger, and as an antidote to anger we try to think about the negative qualities that anger has. So maybe this seed could serve like to transform your reaction and your mind in the real society.
Jadam pene nge kina zalde le aw da chan semba ya bachia lele chin chika sidichi ro semi tujual tagara lasna pendo mara tuna khandes tu de nibu khandes le de la khandes san ta de chin shi ora pe simba ji shawaina ta pene miji ta nga phama sama lawor ni ra bugula labjon ya bachi ni mata ba de la de ora ta labjon ya bachi la wa san ji bu ye che shin marwa right? Chen Kandis Chu, Labno Yapo Chela, and Kran showing how long and a chiglons chew in a table in the low. Any Kran and Tata Ju, any gang yapo, Sundigal Yaponye, any machine in the road to the Kijeti, then can get Rashon Rajo to Tata Chi, any gala and the 10 chick chira. Tunichi and the Anja Susu and Jang, Bidkor, Yapo, Shebachila, Colchetan, Tashitawa Lawin, and Budi send a Samata Jura. That's Loja Vacha, La Kalayapote, to Ludu to Contasha, Yamalayas, and Loja Vacha, Yapo has your how. Finishing other can Sampayapocha, love something to Yomar, Candezo, the Nibu Candeli, the La Candeju, Yama Cande, the Joacan Town, Tino singing Yanda Jangarana, the Indido rating Dura. What did you think it's Sarasura?
Now, like I feel like I've almost like digressed from the topic when you might have get the impression like maybe I'm talking too much on just this topic, but like I want to like end this with this analogy. When I say like if I just sit on this seat and say like you need to be kind, you need to be peaceful, and I just leave it at that, then you do not really have. It doesn't really help you. If I'm able to like explain to you like what are the antidotes, what are the conditions that we need to like cultivate in ourselves, and how like we need to, if I'm able to explain to you how and why we need to be kind, how should we like cultivate peace in ourselves, then it's meaningful. So the analogy that I want to like tell you is like, if there is a parent and he or she tells their own son or daughter like be good in your studies, and just leaves it at that and just feeds him the best food and clothes him in the best like best dress and sends him to school, then do you think like that kid would actually be good in studies? No, there's no like guarantee that he will be good in studies. So if the parent is able to explain to him like, if you want to be good in your studies, and now if you want to be good in your studies, you have to make the best use of your time. Get early in the morning, try to get a head start, pay good attention in the class, try to revise what you learn. In this way, if you're able to teach the kid like a sort of like a technique or methods to achieve like to be good in studies, then it makes sense to give that advice. So this is why like I feel like I talk too much, but this is the point I'm trying to make in the end.
Kandega tizu kande tang ore milin jawa khande che dizu na thaum che tashi tawar la ale dinde le anti kana zo suzu tizu di ma pe che tang ya ji ha ko do da dinde ro shira.
So yeah, let's the next del drashing. So yeah, just as I said, like I have like a real life experience in Tibetans who have like escaped from Tibet for study purposes here in India. When they call home, this is the same response you get. Like every time we call home or we get a call from home, in the past, like the Tibetans in Tibet, they used to tell us to like, okay, be good in your studies, but like they never really mentioned like how you should approach approach your studies, like how to like be actually how to. So this is an example that I wanted to give you. Okay, then we move to the next practice. Yes.
I personally really appreciate very much not only your teaching and repeating, but mostly your energy, because that is really reaching. It's not only the words, it's very much your intention, and it is something that I personally appreciate because I need it. It's not only to hear what I already linked up, the words, but that it opens up inside me something that is, that I'm also coming for. Some kind of healing, some kind of connecting. And you are the way to connect, and all the classmates that are going through too. So I'm very grateful.
토체 나스라 아니 연jo 거는 송 빼jar 망고 송나 아니 알다 빼 앞행기도스 딜을 하고 아니 송주낭 말을 하고야라 캬앙이랑 신기 감로지라 딩알아 아니 트리기도스 아니 심발시 딜리기도 아니 인데송스
점점 알아야 버러지 칼라 근데 그런데 가사갈 달라는지 아니 돌업들 가사갈 로자 좀좀 알았다지 되게 치라 니 그런데 보고 나니까 점점 알아야 뭐 천이로 치더라이나 오늘도 이네 좀좀 알아 야가 있기로서 이네 나랑 삼주디 좀좀이 야가 되래 나랑 선을 가려는데 수수기 남비 건데 지게 나래 남비 지나로 어디데 지내 야보에 살아 삼서 니 참셔 버려라 어디 시에 되는 게 삼도 이네 점점 추냐 가시 오늘 나래 야가 되는 데서 터요 무슨 보고 추니로 되네 가시는 시기에는 나들에 마고로 치스라 나랑 펜싱 끄는 나네 아니 다 컨트롤 되지래랑 나랑이네 바 누가 가요시든 야보지는 건 참아 야보 차리더라 전수지부 말은 알아야 자고 그래서 참아 차리던 저기 돈이로 치고라 난자친 배 괜찮지 니만 뭐 신기해 본다고 지금 시리고라
So yes, thank you, and I want to like address like all of you, and when I say this, sometimes I like in my mind like I really feel like you've come from like a lot of different places, and then I feel like you have seen more of the world than I have, and then like you have studied like more text than I have. You are somehow like more exposed to like more like different sources of knowledge than me, and sometimes when I explain the text to you like in such a childlike manner, in such a simple manner, I feel like maybe like these people like konzola the podo lamna ani karsure
so dindi lago yi marara ine ta suge ta dindi chilana pensare samya la shogora shibara chuna o ngato be dindi shu chago dindi ta lago samra shigiru chichina samsira ine ngara isim chana la ta ngato chige nanzaro chinira ta pochi dile college ni unsar yum balan jebuj kora oti china ngato ta tashi toshi shogora
like so like sometimes I have this doubt in my mind like should I really like approach the text in this like simplistic, like detailed and like a childlike manner to you, but then I think like I come to accept the fact that like you have invested time and money and effort to come to receive this teaching. So if I'm able to explain to you like the way I approach this text and the way it had an effect for me, then like maybe it will have the same effect for you. And this is why I speak in a very frank manner. Even though we've met for the first time, I want to speak to you in a very simple and frank manner, so that you will be able to approach this text more closely rather than just as a text. So this serves as a mean for you to like really transform your mind. Okay, then we move to the text.
다 디체 제가 당한 라지 뛰어디라 뛰다로 가르뛰는 가르뛰어 하고다 디 참아 배 14으로 저는 저기 계시래 아디 단단히 자치 받으러 당아주 디 칼라난 되는데 바고 땡다 되베인데 라 아니 렌즈 치단다 아스라다 추나신데 치삼 치장 있으면 니베 강나 신자 봉 나스 저보다 디칼라 유들라는 가란 소리지 안 되는가라 당아서 되는가라 주도 테러레 근데 뭐 싫어와 두줄라 가서 다 지당이도 그 지금도 대화로 초고 디조에 가지 제바이나 렌즈 치나시 렌즈 치스니도 추착으로 주서라 저도 가지 통내 감 가끔 되지라 어디지 제가 가서 되베인데 가지 런치와이네 몸에 미리 다리디고 대산이디고 나니디고 배 제가 좀 되발래 가야 미주시라 제가 가서디 가전 되진 주실래 배 계신 버래 제가 되진 주지 매발 때네 아니 된들려고라 제가 제장한테 그냥 가지들라 런치와이나 아니들라 가른 되베게 되영가래 아니 가서 가지기지 표시 땅와이네 몸에 말했으라 제가 제장스라 아니 세베 회원지 제가 된대위 단독이 가지기 내가 저 표지 당원에는 착받는 되셔도 저 표로로 세바라 회원지로스 아니 강라 신차 제위 뭐본 남 수수기 당가서 신차 제석이 주 뭐 보이나래 미나래 가리나라 텔라 아니 텔라서 뽕아지슬라인 제가 된대위 차당 몽산 제세 유디 먼저 그 빵도 라 근데 아니 로디 안 차나데 제야문둘라니 소소도 또도 계시 벳 잠에서 마도나 충을타야 저디 아니 제세 상주선 마도 저기 냠나 레스 라
Now the 21st practice of a bodhisattva, in the 21st stanza, then just as like if we are thirsty and we want to quench our thirst, and if we want to quench our thirst, and in order to quench that thirst, if we drink like salt water, then it doesn't serve the purpose of quenching that thirst. It has like the exact opposite effect, wherein like we are more thirsty, and then so like this keeps repeating, it's never satisfied. Like we're never able to quench our thirst if we keep drinking salt water. So this salt water is compared to the to desire and attachment, and drinking that salt water is like compared to like taking pleasure, or like taking pleasure in like these objects of desire and attachment. And so the practice of a bodhisattva is to meditate on the qualities of the negative qualities of like desire and attachment, and the negative quality of a desire and attachment is to is in its like raw form is like this insatiable nature of it. Like we're never like completely ever like content if we like keep like taking pleasure in this like objects of desire and attachment. So the practice of a bodhisattva is to reduce or to turn away from this objects of desire and attachment.
Pena 당저 페이지 샤가잖아요. 됐습니다. 라 pena develop na to ende do pena ta michila tambu khamba ro shime ba ina ra ngala khamba chine pe disarasra so disaro ji khamba chine ta disarasam ta kale ro je suje khalina desa khamba de char ra ta khamba de le be zo tano remudo ni je je na ani ta de na de ba khansa re do tin ta bodi tin ra ha sat pena sajate thamu ro je le ba cha shi ti khamba je sa de je a nga di khamba de zo ta ya bo de nga ngon disarasam nanti sar oh tadi tes thang ta tanga ji dinam shi chosal ne yang khamba chi su na nga pa gunga desa tanga dos ne pya ko sar undi ti tabje tanga na andi ji pe sa kharjin chura mero pa gor khari tadi gal be dipa momo chi sa kale momo jago ra yani kya ta kana de sar ta yang ko ni pugu chi de ro yang shamba chi sa shamba ji la nga ande chi su ne tende chi nga zu chi yo ne chi go chi develop dir ra ngome major ra ti tanda tanga desol ne bed kor din pe kal ka suzu ge misinal diwen ni pugu tanda ro da khashi ande sa no ta ni ra khashi di ma da na nga yakha desa gunga desa chika desa champion ro sa a kol mambu gor ra ta di mai be chana chawa ne ta be me to ro den ta me chama be te mo ta sa yi be jibu shoshi zo so me ra chesa nga develop de kitangi khaya major din ra 가시 모이니 주요다 약간에서 여러분 거대들 민약에도 봐 긴 코로나 사람들의 그냥 하마게 되고 있게 이네 죽고 더바 슈첨부지도 고라
awesome. And now like another I would like to give you an example, like now like imagine a house, and someone wants to build a house, and like let's say like he or she builds this house in a very like cold area, in the mountainous area. And then he has this aim of building this house, and he achieves this aim of like building this dream house for himself or herself in the mountains. But as soon as like he's able to move into this house after it's built, then the thought arises in him or her that okay, I need a summer house now. so now this is the way like desire works, right? As an example, then he builds a summer house, and then he like in this way. Like this is like as a reaction to like the elements, like summer, winter. But then like in a more like subtle way, then you want to build it just to like just for the house to be an envy for the people. Sometimes some people like approach desire and attachment that way. So this is the way like desire and attachment takes hold of us, and it's very like insatiable. It's unquenchable in nature. So maybe some of you might have like summer houses and winter houses. Yeah, I've seen like rich people who have like summer house, winter house, autumn house.
Yeah, Kamala Pest, I'm thinking Kamala Pesara, Chetana, Tulodora, Tatanga Tulu di Godula, and she was Sanya Digo, and the Mamalida, the Mamalad. Tambotamu on the Macha, and the Dior, to the Macha and Desertion. That Jelmacha to lose Rasada. Oh, that's when she was good. That's when she was rather. Yes, Sotaya was good. Not to change the lepisan and the Kala in Atambo, those to Tojas and Dior. Jelaya to watch Bogoria, draw your Basan, Tasaya Bogora. Didn't want to be sent down the
So yeah, we can like try to think about like the way. Or maybe like the example like of a house, summer, winter houses. Maybe like it's too way out there. Now we try to like come back to ourselves. Now like just talk about the way like let's talk about the clothes that we wear. Initially, we say like we're cold, we need something to wear, and then you get some clothes. But then like when you have that clothes, then you look at the design, you look at the material, and then you look at the color. This is the way like attachment attachment works. And then another example like food, the food we eat. Initially like food is just a way of sustaining yourself, just to kill, like just for your appetite. And then like after you are able to like procure food for yourself, then you think about the taste, the materials in the food. So this is the way like desire works.
Jichada Jizubula Pema Benda, and it's a shida, Sodanda, Damabujura. Oh, the Cheta, the Yellow of the
Can I ask a question? I have always the feeling that sometimes it's needed to pursue some sort of pleasure in life, and then when I do that, I normally feel guilty after because I feel I shouldn't have done it. Like for instance, like every 2-3 months you go to a party or you drink alcohol. It's not something that you're so much attached to or that you're addicted to, but it's something that you do because every now and then you want to have some sort of pleasure and you want to have fun with your friends. What is her take on this?
To party life. Just kidding. Now moilana ra ta nganzo jigdengi longju la ira longju la de samba chowa dewa la ji ra chowa dewa di thardu ge dewa mai ba chese ge dewa ro ta nga diskibu chorgo du tinde samnoji khordu samba ngara samba chamjam di goel khechimbo ro dos khajana na ani cham ina mo chowa dedu 타르세기 대화는 지den기 롱조지라 덴데기 대화디 소르도 잠바니 참잠다 첸조라기라 샵드르스도 아라tung 덴데체니 디지점바 캐센가 기보여라 이네 디젤라니 sem라이 칼라기 조바도지 덴데도지 기기도스 아니 크랑기 체나여라 안 디칸데스로 칸데도 통고도스
창통하시네
창통다 체세기 대화로 플레셔 라이라 이제도네 어디
I
have never drank or went to any parties.
다 가서 거나 있으면 치레겨 창도 빼마모도나 아니 소소 조폴라 다라메 버차도라 마타비아도 라바가 마차야 유시그레 밀레 투바 잡시그레 아니 미 따방시나 야고요 머레 케라이게 투바 잡이 근데가라 케라이 잘라도라 라 지기 파스포르이나 카레나 참라 시그레 딘디치디가 제시빠리로 당하더라는 수수들 햄바시로 당한 망보도는 디사마레선 나 지나가 하고 미래 디 가지지라 디 자기 티 하고 미라 이내야 딱 지나지 디 하고라 글라스 찍도는 데자니 간데 가지지라 수수 아까로 슈체타면 건자 하고라 캬즈 따라 내기 켜 글라스 찍도는 디게 이 마동라는 게 라싱이미라 수수보는 내가 하신 쪽보 라스기 이제 가시 뜻은 거기가 뜻을 일단 마데데는 어떻게 차고 어다가 참샤오를 저는 세대 배 심고에 배 계신분라 지금 땅에
now like of course I understand what you I understand the question, and now like just as the way the world works and like the way like Buddhism explains it, like there's a relative reality that we need to live in, and then there's a ultimate reality that we need to meditate on. And now like in the way you are posing this question is like of course to live as a human being in a society, you need to have friends, you need an outlet to like blow off steam sometimes, and like as you mentioned, like you go to a party, you drink. So I've never drank a sip in my life, and I don't know like the effects of alcohol has on a person, but I still even though I don't have an experience, I can tell you this, like as you mentioned, maybe there's a limit or there is a point of suitability, or maybe like middle way, as he says, right? And then like when you go to a party or when you and you engage in drinking, then like maybe you should know your limit, and this in the end is looking at yourself first, right? So when you are drinking, drink up to a limit, like up to your own limit, and when you're partying, like party like up to your own limit. And like when you party like recklessly and drink recklessly, not just like you put other people at harm, but yourself, like you might lose your passport, you might pass out, right? So these are the like very practical things that we can just actually try to like think about ourselves. So in this way, by all means, like go to party if you feel like going, drink, but then like know your limit, look at yourself.
I think the question that I asked was maybe misunderstood. I'm not specifically talking about alcohol or partying. What I'm mainly trying to understand is that if you're on this path, should you really compromise on not having any temporary
and on the part of a bodhisattva, or what? On the part of.
So is it that you really cut off on any temporary pleasure in your life, and then just collect your energy to then reach that ultimate reality that you meditate on, or is it like a mixture of both, or finding a middle way?
That the 전주 선방원에 있나스, 딱 전주 선방 일로께 전주 선방랑 차기 있는데 딱 람로지라 두개라. 근데 이나 아니 또 전주 선방 차야치도스라. 아니 기랑기 칼라기래. 직den기 태색이 되와 pleasure라 그러다. 근데 퀸의 롱주에 요 말외스 야나 아니 디스다 balanced 오치네라. 야나 퀸의 롱마주에 디 농로로 창마 싸네샤 퀸의 롱마주에 근데 체르외스 야나 디스 balanced 오치네 체르외스.
Sorry, add something that's also like related to her life. Like pleasure might be something in my life, maybe in her life has a different meaning. So I think everyone has like their own way of enjoying life and not missing out, to like just head to the enlightenment and then miss out living, miss out having fun in your own life. So
that nganzo do Geshema Dawa Dolma 딱 제세계 대화는 미참말을 집바 연구 말와서 지속이 내 단계 몇 배나 차시는 Geshema Dawa 이나요라 아니 직den기 롱줄에 삼로 지겨러 와서 아니 딘데 이나요라 직den기 롱줄 뱃큐네 아니 롱줄 마치에셔라 제세계 대화를 제 마치에잖아 아니 메세오라마기요 메세기 또 차시 침부지여라 뱃 야매 단계로 차기도 와서 네 간대로 해서 기저티. So twofold, the question first and the second. 당부디 다긴디레. 디 체색이 되어라 디 전주선박이 퀸에 디 롱주기 마루에스.
dire da penna koran ngala do jele peshawan ra chita nganzu gi thawa ni chitsadi gala chi chang to ra kharen da so sunja mambu chi so tambu koran yor ra chena mi khaji kangi chogor ngara ta na di kiu chodra mi khaji kan jele ende mitsidla khala de tadro pha ani chike mi jomsa ra thothoya shara thoya chang to de mindo as ra duburo chogor ra tama min damre 가시게 아 그런 저 비켜 보여서 가시 지금 배강이에서 소래 또 소소사는 다소 지르시라 기우다네 이미지들이 상승 속에 gem들어 다이네 아주 단다 알아도 있는 상주좀 말어 이내야 지 상주심 받아 사제기 고마들래 오늘 아주 지기 자야 이거 받아 자 고받아 딜레 아포치레 사메기로 다니기 되게 가서 차고 근데 참두가 디 두버쳐라 아니 지기 아 다 두번냠네 치바 있느라 줄러져 잖아 사지 고마 탐나 사이 근데 일러져 투바 퇴선 검소 제와라 만족이 단데 류들 류초고라 봐 류초고 되네 둘로야고 다 마차고 칼라 야보고라 아니 데 쥐에 빠지면 소수부 초고라 근데 이게 서야지네 만족 다칼로 사동로절라 놓죠고라 데 데베게 디르라 아니 아주 자신 배도 걸어 빵에 배 상주선 받나서 상제로 참여장 들을 심마신다 간저 되고라 봐 먼저 뒤자와니 제일 너무 되는 안한 쪽에 패치를 개바지 지어요 말했어 데베 배인데 다이딜 시에데 데베인데 자와니 지나게 놓져요 말을 너무 맞다 셀에 게스는 가도이나 마한타나 아니 견이요다 온디라라
Okay, now like I think both of these questions, it actually ties into itself, and then like I'll just try to explain it from my own experiences. Now this is not to say I'm a Bodhisattva, okay? First let's clear that, and then when some people look at me, a nun, then they see me like without hair, like not being able to like keep my hair long, and then like not able to participate in like dancing in a gathering, and then they feel like this is a very restricted, they find this very restrictive. But some other people, when they look at me, and then they feel like, these are very peaceful like people. So this is the way like people see it. But now from my own experience, I'm not saying I'm a bodhisattva, I'm not a bodhisattva, but I am someone who is on this path, who has this like intention of like doing my best to follow in this general direction of the teachings of the Bodhisattva. So, as such, like being a nun, I'm afforded this opportunity to study, reflect, and meditate on all these like teachings. And as such, but I'm a human being with this human physical body, and as such, like I have to first of all like take care of this human body so that I'm able to actually study, reflect, and meditate on these practices. So in this sense, I am also like taking part in this like worldly pleasures, because I am eating like food to sustain myself. I wear thick clothes when I'm cold. So this is a way like I'm participating in this like worldly pleasures. And then maybe like the thing that we need to keep in mind is like anything like when you cross a certain limit, it becomes like detrimental to you. It becomes like not so good for you. So like the way like the kala shimbu side or this long so now like for you maybe like taking pleasure like may mean like drinking, party, and this kind of things. But as a nun, I have my vows, and my vows. So then how do I approach like pleasure? Then like in small things like eating good food, then these are the type of like small pleasures that I try to like find.
Tini pobu koran pain ranghan dere nga yang shimbai kamba shimbai de tinga tu nga desa kamba jablo de la de dance ta so de yesar chang tu nga udi di thong ma sara de gonda chu cuba shujin de ni singla yo da me de so ke ta go ba tro ta go de nga tu de konki yo ma ni khor phu mu de ani di chi udra tambo konzo tro ji hero tang paru de chuba de zeng de ke ja ngo dam ri chi 아마마 딘데다다 미스 칸데로 이나 태죠. 다 산이도 바지 부주스 미로 센 샤이기로 삼선 쟁도다. 지금도 그러. 가시게 자기도 아니 나니만이 지대데 나라는데 버릇다 데투서만 니만이 숨마보된데 니마 따고 저거도 미 집에는 하시라지 자기기라 아니 땅을 산이들 롱셔바 저거자이바 뜻은장 가고 싶어서 저러라 되네 산이가 되네 말랑가라 말도디가라 미기다는 바구든요 바구든에 랑가를 유샤 아니 되는 거 아이템 배셔드네 다서들 유더라 당가 술을 떼고 하고더라 아니 가서디 캄바에 두바이 보지도 굳이 디자지단 쓸 때는 바제로 치스라 되는 콘저를 테시 제가 산은 디디가 산다 아마 나도 미스들 때문에 되는 것도 제 중요해 메라 된대도 되는데 같이 가르쳐 gondani mata batu je ra yede khona chibu tanga le re 당부 chibu chitu hashi chibu yesar to chibu de da tenen jing she do tende ta chana yan de thonyu igel ra chama de ni la gi me de na ka chu ma sin de thanda bo ra am tan do jing so so kang ja la tu de le chung sig ra ka ma la cha ro ra
maybe now I thought of another like real life experience that I had and like the insight that I gained from this real life experience. Maybe I want to share. Maybe like it'll be good if I share it with you. And I remember like a few years ago, I went in Jira. I went to help like this old like foreigner in Delhi. In Delhi, and then like the place like where we stayed. He stayed in a hotel and I stayed in a different place. And the place where I was staying, Geshema he was staying in a hotel and I was staying in a different place. And when the place where I was staying, behind it, like I didn't really see like the sea with my own eyes, like the things that were happening. But when I was trying to sleep, 3-4 in the morning, like there was like music blasting, from behind. And then like after a while, then I heard like dancing, music blasting. And then after a while, then I heard like crying, shouting, and this like a commotion like from behind. And then I knew like maybe I got the sense like maybe they were fighting in between themselves in this place. And then like almost like the way like the noise, the way like the commotion was the way like it was so loud and it was so like chaotic, the noise, that in my mind I thought like at one point I was like almost like oh my days, oh my god, like maybe these someone is getting killed tonight there, because they were like fighting there. And so this continued for like 2-3 days, and on the third day I decided to change where I slept. So as I went out on the third day, then in the morning I saw like on the way behind the place where I was staying, there were like wallets and ATMs lying on the street in the alley. And then like I thought like then I picked up the wallet and ATM and gave it to the PL Dinyapura. So I asked the surrounding people like and told them to like give it because they are like the identification cards are still inside there. So I told them to like give it back to the respective people who have lost it. And as I saw had this experience, I thought like maybe like that. 수줌기 수줌 수수 수줌
진짜 된대로 이게 통오더라. 이베 진짜로 도서 지나서 된대로 지 나스타즈로 상생일에 살았잖아. 다 변나 수수 마데오로 차나. 제일 맞아 저 나로 내시라. 라. 이 그래서 장치보다 레게는 시다 가리네 가장 줄래라. 수수 디래 니부 때마다 수수 심바디 마나티 추스니마도나 this 타는 거래죠.
So at that moment, like I had this insight in me, like these people, they actually came out to like enjoy themselves. But now, like from the way like I heard the commotion in the house, it doesn't really sound like enjoyment. And then like as I walked and I saw like all these personal belongings lost, so I thought to myself like maybe like restraint is a big part in how we like enjoy ourselves actually. Because as a nun, of course, the vows, like it protects you from this kind of situations in a way, right? The way you hold on to your ethical conduct, But as lay person, like I'm sure you will find yourself in like this environment, like party environment, and when you find yourself in this like chaos of a party environment, then I urge you to maybe like practice restraint and to know your limits in such a situation.
Chidang ngazu chibudan la chando tu khala sa deni chibudeni camera ne tsile gyawsuna ani kangi thida ene ngazu chathay de seize.
So normally if you are able to enjoy a cup of tea, relaxed manner, then like this is a way of enjoy taking pleasure in worldly things. But like when you go to a party, if you are not able to practice restraint, then of course it becomes a source of suffering. So with this we break for tea.